Finally.
Whoop, whoop.
Boy.
Let's go.
Working
That's
out the kinks. It's been like 8 weeks.
I know. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's been 8 weeks. It wouldn't let us go live for a minute. So
You said you're gonna have to apologize to the soundboard
that's
for
right.
not working it.
You got it right though. It let us go. It let us go. All right. Hey, big topic tonight. I like the topic. Eric, we're gonna let you kind of come and talk about it real quick because you introduced it the other day, and I think it's a great topic. And
Well,
talk about it.
first of all, Matt Devo, welcome back. It seems like it's
Yeah.
been a while since we've
It's
broke
Uh,
bread together. We were just
been a
talking
minute for
about
sure.
floods and all kinds of natural disasters that have happened
yeah.
since we've been together. But I'm glad that you all are doing well. Matt, you've been flying all over the country.
Man, I flew last night until late until it was I finally got to bed about 2 o'clock, and then in the morning had to get up and fly back to Michigan, and then from Michigan fly to Charlotte, and then from Charlotte drive home.
Mm,
Whew.
I
Man,
don't want that
this pilot,
lifestyle.
this pilot stuff, it's not so easy sometimes.
Hey, so we're
Mm.
talking about introducing the topic about being proud and on cue. Here comes my 2 stars
There we
on the
go.
What's
way.
up?
I saw him.
Touchdown.
I saw him in the pool, winning,
All
pure
right,
winning.
boy, go ahead, go out. They'd be like, "Dad, can we come in?" I said, "Just quickly, come on, come in."
yeah,
So yeah, so it's been a while, and I had sent a text to the thread. I appreciate you guys writing back, but as we mentioned, we spent like the last 2 weeks either on vacation or some kind of competition or whatnot. The boys swam this year, and I sent out to the group here. Can you be too proud of your kids? This in this specific example with my boys that just showed up, they first time swimmers literally learned how to swim last summer. We took them to the Y, just kind of fundamentals, get water safety training. And dog, if they didn't go join the swim team here in the neighborhood and win heats, and Evan got most improved and all this good jazz. And so I was just thinking, I was like, man, I know there's a fine line between humility and
yeah,
pride and love for your kids and stuff, but can you be too proud? Because I feel like up here with these boys
yeah,
sometimes. And
yeah,
so I try to temper my feelings in what I post because again, I've just kind of like been in that school of let someone else read your press release, that's
yeah,
just in my head. But as a father, it's like, you know what? If not me, then who?
yeah,
So tonight, I
For
think we're
sure.
gonna chop it up, just kind of talk about, pride that comes from, just being a father. And are there times when it's situational, or is it truly unconditional? Can they break your heart despite, and still, have that level of pride? And so I know
yeah,
it might be a little different from me because I'm the caboose of this group because the kids are so young, and so things they do are kind of like, look, learn how to clap,
yeah.
you know. So I'm really interested in hearing from you guys because you've really gone through some things where your kids are grown or older, and they probably tested you a little bit, but still, in hearing you talk about your kids, I'm sure that pride meter is still abundantly high.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh, yeah. Can you be too proud? It's this is a good question because sometimes you're so proud of your kids. This is my opinion. You're so proud of your kids, and you want to tell people, but then sometimes you don't want to tell people because you feel like you're boasting and you're overly proud, and yeah, but like you said, if not you, then who? Because I think if you look at it, I think we everybody on this podcast, and we're all doing good things with our kids, and I think we're holding them to the standard, And we've said this multiple times, and I said this in the thread. I said, we've said multiple times that you want your kids to be better than you. And when I sit here and I look at my three kids, they're better than me, And I like to say I set a pretty high bar, I hold them to a pretty high standard, but I think they're doing well, And I'm very proud of them. And I like to tell people, they ask me how I'm doing, but I like to do it in low key sort of way, And it's hard sometimes because you really want to say, yep, they're killing it, they're doing good. But I don't think you can be too proud of them. You can be disappointed in them, and we'll get to that. We'll probably talk a little bit about that if they're not not doing what deal. I think that my kids, and then I'll stop. I think my kids have set such a high bar for themselves that it doesn't really take me or Tisha to set that high bar. They have a high bar, and it's tough to watch them when they don't think they're achieving that high bar. And so then that's when you as the parent have to come in and lift them up, to say, you're going to fall down, you're going to skin your knee, everything's not going to be perfect, but just because you hadn't hit the bar that you want doesn't mean you quit. You always keep going.
Yeah, but that's why I like to hear from you and Devon, because y'all talk about you're modeling. You've been doing it so long that you learn to model for them, and now they can take the baton and run with it, and do it on their own. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I kind of like Matt. I share some of the same sentiment as far as when it comes to uh, being extremely proud of your kids. I don't think that we can um, quote unquote brag on them too much. I think it's good for our kids to hear us share their accomplishments with other people. Like this society is just so crazy. Like I would hate to grow up in this society today. When you think about living your Instagram life or your Facebook life, it's I think it's just tough. I think our kids are always being compared to someone else, whether it's internal or external. I think it's just a natural situation in today's society. But I think when you brag on them, I think it tells them that you love them in a way.
Yeah.
And I think in this day and age, a lot of kids don't have the opportunity to hear that. And I remember being young, and I was a fairly decent athlete back in my youth, and I just used to want my parents to brag on me, or hell, even come to a match. I thought that would have been great. But because of circumstances, they weren't always able to come there, or they didn't always follow me. And so, one thing that we've always tried to do is make sure at least one of us is at every event. And then we tell them at the end, how proud we are of them. Um, they could have struck out 3 times, and we still going to try to find something great that they did do during that hour. Hopefully, you didn't get your uniform dirty, baby. We get to wear it again next week. You know, so yeah, it's a good thing. I think it helps instill confidence in our kids, and I think confidence today is shook. Me and my little one today, we had a chance to go play frisbee golf, and I have to remind myself because I'm a trash talker naturally, and I just want to talk trash to a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Who's never played it before. But we went and played disc golf, and she caught on fairly quick, and so I always got to remind myself, and they're female too, so I have to remind myself not to, well, I guess, yeah, maybe it is intentionally to be sexist, but I have to remind myself to make sure you give that praise and build them their confidence, because I think it's a little bit tougher in girls than it is in guys. Guys, I think somehow some naturally just come with that little swagoo, where it may not be as quick in females. So yeah, I think that's real good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicole says she's a single mom raising two boys, or better yet, two young men, and so it doesn't matter, we're talking dads here, but it doesn't matter if you're a mom or dad.
No,
They
not at
need,
all.
they need the love from both of you. And yeah, again, pouring into them, is what's important. And what about you, Eric? I mean, you talk about it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I struggle with this because I told you guys when I first um, got on that I was not going to badmouth my father at all. And I know more now as a dad of just how hard it was for him with trying to
Mm,
work and make ends meet and all kinds of things, being on the road, more than maybe what I had wanted. But then I look at some of the parallels. I did the same thing. I was on the road the first third of Ethan's life and pretty much all of Evan's life, and so I try to stop comparing Devon, you mentioned, coming to a match. Some of those things happen where I, look up and stands don't. But at that time, many years later, you learn to forgive and forget, put that aside, and not let that be this eternal um, thing that you can't forgive for. Because now, when you're in pole position with children and whatnot, if you miss a match or miss now it's on you. Point fingers at yourself. So I've done a better job, not to compare and contrast the circumstances of my childhood and whether I felt the same way or whatnot, or some of the acknowledgments, and just chalk it up as it's what they knew. What they knew was the best way to raise us, or to deal with life circumstances, or to just have this. If I come home, I love you. You don't need to hear it. If I'm
You hit
home,
that switch
that
and
should
the
be
light
enough.
comes on. It says love.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Tuesday McDonald's, Friday Pizza. That should be enough. I ain't got to say the
That's right.
words. But to your point, Matt, it has endeared how I say it often. I mean, like just stupid stuff. Last night came in, and I was like, okay, I gotta get back in shape. I lost all that weight and now starting to gain it back or whatever. And I was like, I got to get back in shape. I got to do some stuff. So I just started mapping out what I was going to do for the next few days before the surgery. And Ethan came in and was like, Dad, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to go back in this push-up pyramid. I'm gonna start busting them out again. He was like, can I do them too? And I was like, well, I don't see why you can't. And so I find myself writing out a little workout for him and for his brother, age appropriate. But to see us in the floor last night cranking out push-ups and stuff, like stacking like three little dogs in the floor, and correcting, style, hey, get that
Right.
stress off your
Yeah.
elbow, keep your head down. Even got to the point where Mom got in the floor and started doing push-ups with us. So it was just like, it was just that kind of like pride. The pride was like, you know what, you just do things
Yeah.
differently. Just,
Yeah.
take a pause from the grind and just get in the floor and do some push-ups. I left to come in here. The boys are in there doing their sit-ups. They're
That's
doing their
it.
push-ups and stuff. And it's like, as I
Did they
text
tell
you
you
guys, I was
you're
like, I
lazy?
feel
Did
like
they tell you you're lazy?
now they didn't tell me I was lazy. Nah, they're just telling me, to just stay
Yeah, that's right.
consistent. Because he's like, if you're going to start it, stay consistent. Because they were doing it today, I had to do it. But the bottom line is that as I was texting you guys the other day, I was just sitting there, just having this flood moment. I just realized the weightiness of building a
Yeah.
legacy, and the things that are happening now in their life that I'm doing or Mom's doing is literally about building a legacy. It's like, what kind of life do we want them to live, but also how they want to remember us. Obviously, how I want them to remember me, because sometimes I feel like I'm on borrowed time, and I just want to make sure that if I'm not here, that they're like, man, Dad did this and he set us up for that, and we can do anything. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. You know. Go ahead,
Uh,
Eva.
well, well, I was just gonna say two things that really stuck out with that piece there, E. And so I'm kind of like in the same situation with now that you know more. Now that you've had more counseling classes, more higher level educational type classes, and I guess somewhat know a little theory behind child rearing or whatever. I like to put things in context. You know what I'm saying? Because when we think about our father's age and what was going on in society at that time, a man had to be a man. And like it comes from the straight traditional mindset of what a man is. You come home, you provide for your family, you do whatever it takes to make ends meet. All that other stuff, you know, mama can take care of it. Or, mama's gonna take care of it. And so like, cause I was the same way. I used to be like, man, well, why ain't you here? Or why ain't you doing this? Or why ain't you telling me you love me? Or whatever the dot is, right? And so like I try to look at it from a contextual standpoint of society, what was going on, and just say, you know, as we want for our kids, we want our kids to do better than us. So like now, I know that I haven't always done everything right, but now I see my kids starting to like come in there and want to do their little set of push-ups so that they can be healthy, and they're taking more are taking better care of their bodies at such a younger age, and you're modeling that way for them. And I think that's so important. But we have to give each other a little bit of grace as well. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, because it still stings a little bit, but yet that's just kind of what it is. And to see you modeling the way with your kids and getting in the floor and doing crunches and family exercises, I think is just phenomenal. Because I know the first half of my fatherhood, I was just preaching. You know what I'm saying? I was like, shoot, I see all these kids in schools every single day, and they jacked up, and I be daggum if it's gonna.
He froze. How's
You trying to combat into this.
it? It looks good in the froze.
But yeah, to me, it's got to understand the whole context of where your pops was raised or what the time frame, and then just modeling for your kids. I think is more valuable than a lot of times what it is that we have to say that comes out of our mouths as well. So I think those two things are extremely important just to be cognizant of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, again, talking about you want your kids to do well, I mean, I think it's important for us to set that tone, and that's what you're doing, Eric. You're setting that example, for your kids. Like I said, I think there's been one thing. I've had some friends sit across from me, and this is where it gets hard. I just call it how it is. It gets hard when you get some friends sit across from you and say, "Well, how's your family doing? What's going on? How's your kids doing?" And you say, "Well, yeah, Braden's doing this, Megan's doing this, Laney's doing this," and then they look at you and go, "How did y'all do it? How did you get your kids to where they are now?" And it's almost like you almost like go, "Oh God," you feel kind of like almost like embarrassed, or like you want to tone it down and all that. But then again, no, you don't, because they're striving. And I think for me and Tisha, I think one of the key things that we did is we communicated with our kids. We communicated with them about the good, the bad, the ugly. We didn't hide all that. If things we were going through a little bit of let's say some money was tight or something like that. Like, we didn't sit there and try to build this charade or anything. We let them know what was going on. And the reason why I bring up that specific topic right there is, right, you go through your ups and downs in life. But Eric, who were you on before the show? Who were you on before the podcast? Who were you on the call with?
Braden and
Yeah,
Riley.
so on with Braden and Riley. And everybody knows they just got engaged, they're getting ready to get married, but they were on a call with you, as a financial planner trying to do things right. And I go back and look at it, and we talked about it a little bit, is I wish we would have done that when we first got married, Tisha and I. I don't think it was as big of a deal back in the 1950s when I was a young kid, but it's setting your kids up for success. It's building that legacy. It's helping them not go through and maybe make some of the same mistakes that you made, or whatever it might be, health or finances or just anything. So it's looking at, okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? And that even comes into parenting when you look at, maybe what did your parents do that you thought was great? What did they do that you didn't think was so great? What would you like to offer that's different? And so just learning from all the things that go on in life, and then trying to shape your kids. And then again, like I said, always just trying to hold them to a high standard.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up because I was, trying to hide anything or whatnot. But since you brought it up, I will tell you that as I was talking to them, listening to them, and just being in their presence, I thought just of how much more I love you. Devo, we have been rocking it for a very long time. I have an unwavering amount of love for you. How much I care about Josh, and really, really growing to know him. And
Yeah.
this podcast, or this assembly of men, how much that has really affected my life, even though there have been some weeks that we've had to push pause on some things. But the spirit of manhood, the love, none of that has waned at all. And I think the reason why I felt the way I did sitting there was just anticipating this conversation to be able to say, yes, you
Yeah.
got it right. Because every, well, I don't want to say it like that, but I would want my child, my boys, to sit across from one of y'all and have them pour into them without me needing to be
And
there.
that let me say this, and that's
Because
important because I love you and I trust you, and it's great to know that my kids can turn to you because that's what you do, And I think that's such a good thing and a good trust, to have
yeah,
what we have.
yeah. And I think that's when I was talking about multi-generational planning and legacy building and things of that nature. Like I want so much for the boys to be able to have next level down, next level up associations that spawn from relationships that I have, and have the confidence to be able to, I don't need dad here because he's already set the stage for that. He's already laid the foundation that I can walk in and get advice from Matt, from Devon, from Josh, from Doc, from Anthony. Because when they get older, they're going to need men in their life. They're going to have to see the door has been opened. Because Devo's like I share with you, I get it. I get it now at 50 what my dad was doing. I understand now why he was a pillar of the community and surrounding areas and things that he was doing and associations and the gift of gab and times when I was like, oh, this is so irritating. This man, what in the world? I see all the seeds he was planting for now for things that I'm doing. It's like I'm reaping a harvest for his
Yeah,
labor. And it's almost like the blueprint was laid out to keep that bloodline going for how I want it for my boys. That if they're on the block, someone say, "Oh, E Hart's your pops." Oh man, good
yeah,
dude. And let me tell you a little bit about your dad. The good and the bad and the funny, and let them walk away with this sense of pride. And so, I mean, I see that when we talk. Devo was talking on before we got on. You and your daughter going out
yeah,
camping last week, man. It's just like, man, you've always stood up in their life, man. Just not unscripted. Just like, hey, it's Thursday, we're gonna do something. It's just unscripted, but it's all been wrapped up in love, and that's what we as fathers need more of, I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things that I did is we, had an event. We got one coming up in October. It's called Convene 25, but in Convene 23, when we did it, I actually on the stage had the chance to interview Braden and Megan and Lainey, you know, and I interviewed them. We had 50, 60 people at the event, but I interviewed them about this journey of building Convene because it's a family affair. You know, it is a family affair. They're very Braden will tell you how many rides and I go back and think about the rides I used to go on my dad with, in the car, and that's some of my best talks that I still relive today. But some of the rides me and Braden would go, and Braden's been a huge part of building what Convene is and building the process, and so has Megan and so has Lane, but they've been a part of it. But man, just to hear them get up there and talk about the journey and what we've done and how it's a family thing and how everybody believes in it. And then they talked about, me. And so, and, the, all that. And man, that was humbling, to have your kids sitting there on a stage talking about, their relationship and you. And a lot of people that were there came up to me afterwards and were like, whoa, that was incredible. And so that was strong. That's one of my proudest moments, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, so it's
So
been
it's
real.
good to hear it on the front end because when they eulogize you, you be hoping that they say some nice things.
Yeah,
You got to sit on the front end.
I told you that my first assignment in getting my master's degree in counseling to write my own eulogy, and I thought it was I thought it was one of the best things I've ever done
Yeah.
because again the assignment was to write your own eulogy, and then the professor came back and said, if you can't read that eulogy and look in the mirror when you're reading that eulogy, then you're not living the right. You're doing something wrong. And so if you're not living the eulogy you just wrote, you better make some changes.
Yeah.
And that was impactful, man. That hit hard, and I like to think that, what I wrote was pretty true to it. I think that it's our job to treat people, everyone, with respect, with respect, how God and Jesus would want us to. And that's really what it is. So I think all of us, and plus Josh, and Doc and Anthony, I mean, that's the way we treat people. So lifting people up. So, yeah.
So I can do more Facebook posts and not feel guilty about it. Then is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
you can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Because that's hard. I mean, I know you talked about it even in the text with just kind of sitting across from folks and life is good and they're balling and then how that's received and stuff. But then there's some of the stuff I want to put out there just to, you know, put it
Yeah.
out there. But I withhold so much because some of it, obviously if they hear it from me, that's all that matters. Or if they hear it
Yeah.
from their mother, that's really all that matters. And it's
Yeah.
not an ego thing and it's not a braggart thing, but it is pride. It's like, I want, folks to see these kings, man, growing.
Yeah.
It's almost like selfish networking. They're like,
It
when
is.
they get older, they're like, you've already put kind of a resume. You built almost like a virtual resume for them. And
Yeah.
somebody who's in my network can say, hey, I want your boys to come work for me or something of that nature. Maybe that's the psychology behind it.
Well, and what I would say is like there's two things. It's got two branches. One is what's your intention. If your intention is good and your intention is pure, then I think you're golden. Like I don't see anything wrong with it. I truly don't. But yeah, because I don't think you're doing it as a braggadocious. I just think you're stating facts. And the other part of that, the other olive branch is as believers, God calls us to share our testimony, man. And like your kids are
That's
your testimony.
facts. That's
Like that's
facts.
the biggest that's the biggest part of your testimony. Like
Biggest
how are you
reflection of
leading? Like,
That's facts.
when
that.
when you get to heaven and they pull out that big IMAX and your story is out there, like you just want to make sure that it's a good story.
That's
Yeah.
My
true.
wife keep telling me I can't wait to see yours, and I'm be like, ooh. I'm gonna try to find a remote and fast forward to some of these parts.
Long as they don't have 3D glasses.
I
Uh,
truly believe like your
That's true.
story, it helps others, man. It helps brothers get through it. Not brothers, but
yeah.
all God's kids,
And
brothers.
I see y'all got me on the bottom tonight.
Help us all get through, man, and
Yeah.
just help figure this thing out. Because don't none of us got the book written on this. I promise we don't.
But that,
And it's just
you
trying
know,
to
that's
relive every day.
That's what I'm talking about. I think it's very important for us to show people how we've been knocked down to our knees.
Yeah,
We go through and talk about this all the time on this podcast. Is that one of the things that we do as parents nowadays is we don't allow our kids to fall down and skin their knees. And how many times have the three of us fallen down and skinned our knees in our life?
many.
From time we were kids to time even to the being adults, all the time. Life is not easy. Life
Yeah.
is sometimes hard, and they need to see that you have fallen down, and they need to see that you get back up and you keep sprinting forward. And because again, when they call you on the phone and they're going through a tough time, you need to be able to relate to that tough time, and you need to be able to say, "Hey, we all go through tough times. It's not easy, but you're gonna be okay. Tomorrow's a new day. You
Yeah,
know, Brush your knees off, put some little band-aids on the knees and let's go. Let's go forward. And I think we do a disservice to our kids nowadays because we don't teach them those lessons. We try to shadow it. And again, I think, my kids, it's harder for your kids, Eric, I think, and maybe your youngest, Devo, because that's that post-COVID culture that we've built around these kids, I think, a little bit. Where Braden, it was like, I'll tell you a story about Braden. Yeah, I learned very quickly that, when we're playing basketball in a little Nerf goal, that I couldn't let him win every game because he turned into a little, you know. So, and he didn't like to lose. Man, Braden did not like to lose, but you got to teach him how to lose.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
you might have work harder. And so, I mean, that's a little bitty facts, but as parents, sometimes when they're young, we want to let them win. win, win. No, don't let them win every game.
Dude, that's facts. Last night we were at the city park and doing the post swimming accolades and whatnot, and I knew when the coach was talking about 8U most improved. I knew from the first sentence they're talking about Evan. I knew it. I even started videotaping right when the coach got up because I was like, he's about to get an award because I saw how he
Yeah,
improved myself, but as a third party, I was like, well, leaving it to the coaches. And then when they said the name, I just like, well, good thing I already had it on video. I can share it with Erin so she can see
yeah,
it. But when Ethan's coach got up and started talking and whatnot and giving accolades, I just turned the camera off. That ain't him,
yeah,
and he didn't get it. And he got up and came over there to me and put his head down. It's like, Dad, why did such? I said, oh, no, not here. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We got
yeah,
other parents here that are celebrating their kids, and we're not gonna do that. And I said, so I looked at him. I said, son, I said, the most important lesson you're gonna learn tonight is learn how to lose. Because if you learn how to lose, win is gonna be real easy for you.
yeah. I
I
love
said,
it.
but it starts tonight. You better tighten that up because the kids that the two guys that won were on his relay team and they're really good. I thought they were really good, and both were deserving of the awards that they got. And I said, you can't look at one or two events where you outperformed in those events. This was for the season.
Yeah,
And I said, so what we'll work on, and I even shared with his mom last night. I was like, we got to teach this boy and teach these boys how to lose.
yeah,
Got to teach them how to lose
yeah,
and perfect that and be okay with that. And then the winning will come easy. The
yeah.
humility will come easy.
I remember early on, I got Braden and Laney specifically to watch the Tom Brady story. And if your boys have never watched, go back and find the 30 for 30 Tom Brady story. And it goes back and shows him from high school to going to Michigan and how he wasn't playing at Michigan and he ended up working into his fifth year senior playing. And then whatever he was, the 199th pick, getting picked. And he just said, he kept saying, when I get my chance, when I get my chance. And it took Drew Bledsoe breaking his collarbone or whatever, and then
Mhm.
he got his chance. But he fought and he fought and he fought and he fought. And I think that was really, for me, that was Braden's story and that was Laney's story. They both had to fight when it came to sports, and that builds character, you know.
Yeah,
Um, Megan's story is a little bit different because she danced and all that. So not necessarily on the sports field, but dancing a little different. But work hard, work ethic. That's it. I mean, if
yeah,
you want to get somewhere, it's up to you. It's up to you to
yeah,
go, you know,
yeah,
but you got to work for it. You got to work for it. And I think that's a great lesson that you taught them. It's not going to get handed to you.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to commend that too. Like, I think about my own journey. Like, I got cut in the ninth grade when I tried out for baseball because I couldn't hit that curveball. I think I shared that story with you
Yeah.
guys before.
Yeah.
But just about everything else, like all the way through high school, all the way through college, things were fairly easy. And like in everything I applied for, I was I, I got an opportunity to at least sit at the table. But I ended up getting a whole lot of those opportunities to me as well. But it was like when I first got my professional career, like before I was able to get my first assistant principal's job, I interviewed. I'll never forget that summer. I interviewed for 11 assistant principals jobs
Yeah.
and got rejected in all of them. And
Yeah.
like I was just like, you talking about being humbled and knocked to your knees? I used to come home and cry in Heather's lap. I'm like, baby, I'm just a failure. Don't nobody want me. Like I'm just trash,
Yeah.
And it was just nuts, and it was just that whole determination. All right, now that you mofo's and told me no, I'm gonna work even harder, and I'm gonna come back stronger, and I'm gonna perfect this craft, and I'm gonna figure out what I'm missing in my repertoire and go out and grab it. And so like that tenacity, oh my gosh, it will take you far and beyond. And I
Yeah.
yeah.
don't think I ever told anybody that story, so let's just keep it right here. But
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
in
like we
podcast world.
teach gotta teach our kids how to fight,
Yeah,
and even if someone tells you no, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
no, it just means not right now.
yeah,
And as long
Well,
as you're willing to work for it, you gonna get what you put in the work for. Like you gotta grind. Like
yeah,
ain't nobody gonna hand you not not a whole lot of people gonna hand you anything
Yeah.
unless you got some of that stacked on generational wealth that we're all chasing.
Yeah.
Y'all
No,
know I
you.
wrote this book, right? It's being reviewed, it's coming, and that's what the whole book is about. It's about, going in and being in the Marine Corps and reaching the top level. I was basically a Marine Corps Top Gun, and then all of a sudden, WTI is what, and I get medically retired. And then I start the V-22 program, start climbing again, and then that contract gets made smaller, and then I'm out on the streets. And then I go back and fly air medical, and I'm going and I'm going, and then boom, I go, and now I'm with Penske. So it's like life is like this, man. It's boom, boom, boom. It's up and down. It's not a linear straight line.
No, it's not like that. That's
by the
not like.
time by the time Aaron showed up to the park, and I was kind of recapping, she said, "Why is Ethan looking salty?" Because she walked in, rolled up on the park because they're like, "Mama
And she
knows,
knows. Yeah.
Mama knows." So, and I said, "Man, you know how many times, Devo, very similar. How many times I applied for an AD job or AD equivalent?" And nope, nope, not now, not now, not now. And I'm like, man, what in the world? Just like you say, like it got to the point where Aaron was like, I ain't applying for jobs because the way you getting rejected, I don't want to go through that sting.
Right.
And it's like there's always one door that will eventually open, or you realize that, well, maybe I need to be a darn good number two.
Well, here's one. Now, I thought, and I don't know if she's watching it. Riley texted a minute ago and said, laughed because I'm wearing my hat backwards, because I wear the hat. Y'all can't even see my eyes, I'm sitting there looking down. So I put it on backwards. But I've had the talk with Braden. I've had the talk with Riley. I've had the talk with, Laney. If you're not in a place and you're not doing a job that you love, then it's time to go. Go find something that you love and that you're passionate about. But what ends up happening is we don't want to be quitters. We don't want to quit on anybody. So we feel guilty and we stay in a bad situation and we don't try to better ourselves or get in a better situation. And I have this conversation, not just with them, but I have it all the time with people. People are miserable in what they do. Don't sit there and be miserable in what you do. If you're miserable in what you do, make a change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, don't quit your day job until you have a new job. Don't go on the unemployment line. But unless you're going to go out and be a photographer and get good at
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I get a
All them
pass?
jokers broke.
yeah, you were prepared to do it. You had a
Yeah.
plan. So but have a plan is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have a good plan.
have a good plan.
We try, as we started having the conversation, and I know this is not realistic, but I think some of the things that I feel where it comes from is that I wish I could see 5, 10, 20 years down the road. Again, I'm in the company of people that have older children that will be able to see your conversations in the rear view mirror. You're looking out of the front view now because they've made it. They're older, and so some of that is just what will 18-year-old Ethan look like, stature wise. What's his thoughts? Will he still be kind, and have a generous heart? Some of those things. And the more we're on these topics and having these types of conversations, it's like, well, dude, you already know the answer to that. Stay consistent. You say you and Tisha were masters at communicating with your kids.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't wane and change, then this shouldn't change. I should almost see what it will look like.
Your boys are 2 different boys. Devo's girls are 3 different girls. My kids are 3 different kids. Harness who they are.
Yeah.
And really foster who they are. My kids are 3 different kids, and they all have their special things about them, and they've all, strived and been very driven. And I can think of very specific moments. I could give you specific moments of conversations, not necessarily for me, maybe with me or not with me, where they were defining moments. When a coach told Braden, "Hey, Braden, it's not your skill, it's not how hard you're working, it's your attitude."
Yeah.
It didn't need to come from me; it needed to come from that coach. I can think of Megan when Megan said, "Dad, I don't want to go be a dancer. I want to go be a doctor." Well, she's in her 3rd year of medical school. I can think of Laney, just like your boy there. I can think of Lainey's heart and who she is and how she pours into people. And sometimes, she gets hurt because she pours into people and she can't understand, well, why don't they pour back, And just the heart of who they are. And I think it's so important. Lainey's a lot like me, and who we are personality wise. And I
Yeah,
think you have to recognize who they are and really just lift them up, man. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
important.
That's facts.
That's when it all changed for me as well. Is when I stopped trying to project their trajectory and let them just nestle into who they are, and let them kind of blaze their own path. Like again, I've always tried to guide them. Hey, why don't you go be a psychiatrist, or why don't you go do this or go do that? Oh, Dad, I think I like working with kids. No, no, you're not going into teaching. You and your mama already done that, made that not mistake. That's a joke. Thank you, educators. We love all of you. But no, we stopped. Or I stopped trying to guide them where I wanted them to be, and just say, hey, what speaks to you? Because Matt's 100% right. If you love what you do, it's not work. It's just not work. You know, and that's where the difference is made at. And then just figuring out how you can get behind them and support that endeavor.
Yeah,
I think that's the key. That's the nugget right there.
yeah, yeah. Because we're on borrowed time.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
for sure.
clock's
Yeah.
gonna run out.
Well, here I am. I mean, I'm a complete empty nester. Me and Tisha are, and and not just that. I look at different milestones. It's like, man, I'd do anything to be back on the soccer field watching Braden play just one more game, and watching Megan
Mhm.
have one more dance recital, and watching Laney just have one more soccer game. But now I'm ready to move on to the next stage of, okay, Braden and Riley, time for them grandkids, because I got to get back on the field or in the dance studio or something, because that's just like you were watching your boys.
slow down, Grandpa.
But
Right,
just
right,
I know, but
right.
just like you watching your boys
Let them
swim.
get married first, right?
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. But just like you watching your boys swim, man, that's yeah, it's everything. Just to have that
Yeah,
pride. Don't matter. It doesn't matter if they win or they lose. It's just they're out there giving the effort.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah. Well, I can tell you from what I heard this evening that you have done an outstanding job. You and Tish have done an outstanding job with your children. And
Yeah,
the anxiety that young people feel when they're starting to make that turn into young adulthood and life really truly start be lifing for them,
yeah.
they'll maneuver and make
Oh
the
yeah,
right decisions because you've given them a nice long runway, and there was no failure to launch. They've
yeah.
launched because they're in the pressure cooker now. These are
Oh
big
yeah,
boy decisions that are being made. Money's going to look a lot different now.
yeah,
Decisions where as I shared with them and share with you guys, when Aaron and I first started with it, we learned quickly, and it's still to this day, that as we did our budget, every single dollar had to be assigned something. It had to go somewhere. You couldn't have like there's 200 left over at the end of the month. No, where you got to put that 200 somewhere, whether it's saving, whether it's you got to put it somewhere so that it's all had an assignment. And it looks scary because when you see a zero at the end of your budget, you're like, well, where's the money that's going to last for the rest of the month? Well, no, it will. You just assigned it something. You put it in savings or you put it in. It's somewhere, but that's where the discipline comes in. And so the beauty of seeing that process happen with open eyes and being receptive to that, because that's going to be a part of a standard for the next chapter in their life. I'll just bring it back to you. And, certainly would say that her parents done the same thing to get her prepared. And,
yeah,
that's what you want, that's what you want. And I hope, as long as we know each other, Devon saying, I hope that when I get to that stage that we will have done the same thing to get them ready.
Well, you know what? You know what's cool. I'll say this: it's like with Braden and Riley, like her parents are wonderful because we've met them, been around them and stuff. Man, and you want that so bad for your kids to know that they have, good in-laws,
Yeah,
Braden, and then
yeah.
we were able to meet, Megan's boyfriend Danny. Able to meet his parents, and they're wonderful too. So Laney, gotta come through. And, we're 2 for 2 right now, and
Hey, Devo could tell you some stories of some little girls I was dating whose parents just didn't understand. It is, man. I'm telling you, the Bible talks about being unevenly yoked, and it's so true, man. When you're yoked up with, and they just don't, it's more drama than it needs to be. And I know probably stepping into a landmine there, but I I'll just say this: I'm happy that
Where
there
that come
was a.
from?
I know. I'm just saying. Like I agree with what you're saying as far as
yeah.
in-laws being on the same page and stuff because
Yeah,
I reflect on people that I used to like, thought I was supposed to be with,
Just
and
leave right there. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, we with it.
parents didn't like me for some
Yeah.
reason or another.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
maybe that's part of getting you where you are now. So there you go.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
look, a lot of no's to get that one yes.
Hey, good book says count it all joy, baby.
There
Count
you
it
go.
all joy.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, look at that, Riley. Be the currents. There you go. Because
Hey, hey,
Riley,
dude,
let's
this is
go.
for the next session. This right here has gotten me into so much trouble. I just got this for Father's Day, and I just started like I swapped out the one Yeti for this one. So the boys got all these stickers and started putting this on here, put man of the house and all this stuff, and it's got some little like Christian little sayings and stuff. And I took it to the swim meet, and these little ladies looking at me like, "Oh, that's not right." Or what's that? And I'm like, what, "Do I know you?" And I realized I was holding this jug everywhere.
There you go.
And I said, "Well, I guess that standard is different now." But Aaron says I am, so
Oh, she said, "Oops." I thought she was saying she's about to be a current. She said, "No, we love the currents." Oops, but that
Yeah.
worked.
I was getting ready to say, uh, uh, Riley, a trooper. She 10 toes down.
Yeah,
Like
she's
that's
in.
what's
She's
up.
all in. She's
Wow.
claiming it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last night I was flying at. Let me just tell you, at God knows it was after midnight. Oh, about midnight, something. But I'm flying over that. After that, I sent that to Riley today. That is Richmond. That's where Riley's from.
okay.
Uh, Richmond, Virginia. And
Awesome.
Riley, what you don't know is they've been looking for wedding venues. I see it right there. It's somewhere in there. See it.
Uh-huh.
No, but that's there today. That's a pretty
That's
cool picture. Yeah, it was pretty cool coming up on Richmond and seeing that.
Hey,
But
well, Riley from Richmond, you better tell Brandon he better come correct because them VA people a little different. They hit a little different.
that's right.
VA baby. VA
yeah,
Martinsville in the
baby.
house.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's what's up. Don't they
No,
still have a races in Richmond?
yeah, there's right.
And
There's NASCAR.
NASCAR still there? I thought
Yeah,
so.
they're still there.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
NASCAR race in Richmond. It's all good.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Man,
I look.
go
I
ahead.
like this topic. I just want to say I like this topic because I think, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You want to go, speaking of 10 toes, you want to go 10 toes down on your kids and lift them up, and then and this is the thing. Yeah, I'm so proud of my kids, and I know y'all are so proud of your kids. Sometimes you don't want to sit there and go, "Well, look, that's what my kids are doing," but I mean, how can you not? If they're striving, if they're doing great things, you got to be proud of them. And so
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's just it. It's like you said, if not us, then who? And
Yeah.
that's really what you want to be. You want to be proud of them. And here's what I say. Right? Nobody's paying attention to what I say except me. You know? So
That's true.
if I go out there and I lift my kids up and I'm boasting, I'm very proud of them. They're going to recognize it, right? They're going to know that I'm proud of them. If other people recognize them, good to go. But they're not. People aren't worried about Matt Curran and what I'm saying and what's going on. they might recognize it and go, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Braden's doing this, Megan's doing this, Laney's doing this." And then they're moving back on with their own life.
It's true.
So
It's fine.
lift them up, lift your kids up. They need to hear it from you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was laughing the other day because last night, I don't know if this is even real because I never got a receipt, so I have no idea if this was legit. But your boy who wrote the book that was in Kernersville, he was supposedly at this church last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was a workshop with Chapman and whatnot. I paid $37 to go to that thing, but I forgot that we had the banquet, so I couldn't go. But it kind of goes back to, you know, what you've been saying. Have y'all been talking about with filling up that tank and speak their language? You know, we were just saying that last night at the banquet that I have no problem with filling their love tank with the language that sounds applicable to them, but at the same time different for both boys because they are two different people, but still filling them up, you know, at the same time. If you've ever been around us, we got a little handshake that we do now, each of us do, and 3 taps is our little way of saying I love you. It's just
Yeah.
I love you, and so wherever we are, you know, they're like, oh, that's cute, but we're saying that to each other without having to say the words through the taps, and it's pretty cool because I saw everybody else doing it on YouTube and all that stuff with their kids. I said, let me come up with a little hand gesture, but it's just another little way to get close to my boys when we are separating from each other. Maybe they're going to it at church, they're going to the Sunday school room or going to school, or you know, even Sky Zone today when they went to jump and I was going to sit down. I just tapped them up a little bit. So
You know what? Go ahead, Devo.
No, I was.
I'll say this real quick. Don't ever, for boys, and it's very easy, Devo, with our girls, give your girl a hug. But I do the same for Braden. Don't ever stop that, man. Don't ever stop that. I mean, me and Braden hug it out. Me and my dad hug it out, too. But I think that that's very important to always, hug it out with your son as a male, and show him that love. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Devo.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it's extremely important not only to dap them up and love them up, but just tell them I love you.
Yeah,
And this is what I noticed. This is the reason that reaffirmed my love for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that they've done, a tangible thing. It's just because
yeah,
that smile, that glow you got in your eyes. It can be just whatever. Like I don't think we can ever tell our kids that we love them enough.
yeah.
yeah.
Even when we got to go in deep. You know what I'm saying? And correct.
Yeah.
I still love you, and I love you, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation. This is the reason why we got this new outcome. But yeah, other thing I was gonna say, I thought you may have taught them the grip or whatever, just trying to brainwash them.
You silly. They got to go through the fire first. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I'll teach them your grip.
Put them boys on the sands, huh?
I'll teach them the alpha grip.
That's funny.
It's on YouTube.
Slow down,
Yeah.
slow down.
Funny.
Speaking of grip, I was locked arms with Cyrus at church on Sunday because they had all the men of the church come up to the front of the church, and they said, "Grab somebody by the hand." I had a signal on one arm and Cyrus on the other one, and we were sitting up there. They was getting ready to pray for us, and before they started, I looked at Cyrus. I said, "I guess alphas and sigmas can get along."
I didn't know you and Cyrus went to church together.
Yeah, he's a good
That's
dude.
awesome.
Good
That's
dude.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good dude.
All right, we're rolling up on 10 o'clock.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I guess
This
let's
is
I
good.
was so glad
This
we
is
got
good.
a chance to catch up, get back together with each other because it had been a while. Keep me in your prayers. Like I said, I'm going under the knife in a couple of weeks, and I know everything will be fine, but it's always
right.
good to get a couple of extra prayers up to the big man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, make sure you let us know if you need anything.
Yeah, and send that date in the chat too.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man.
We'd be remiss. He's not on here, but we do have to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Josh,
The Josh Griffith having a birthday. So he's living
man,
his best life,
I
man.
can't wait.
How do you get to go to the home run derby and then get to go to the All-Star game?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey,
He
keep
sold a
killing
couple
it. Big
premiums.
pimping.
couple of premiums went through.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get
That's
them
great.
denied. No
I was in
reclaims.
Atlanta last night early on. I was just sitting at a airport waiting on somebody, being a glorified or airplane Uber driver. Whew, a late
Man,
night.
sometimes I wish I could be a little flea in your world just to see who all you got on your airplane, man. The stories that are going on.
Yeah,
Just a
it's
little fly.
yeah. I had a great time. I had a great time with everybody I flew with this last week, and so it was fun. But when you're flying late, like into the night, man, you got to be flying with somebody that you like
Yeah.
because, man, we're sitting in that cockpit and it is late. And
And
my
dark.
bedtime, this is past my bedtime right here, this
Yeah.
podcast. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
ooh, brutal.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
Well, y'all be good.
Be
Yep.
blessed,
Proud.
brothers.
Be
And
proud.
ladies, keep holding it down.
That's right. That's it. All right. We'll be back next week.
Holla.
Hopefully.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
I'll see ya.